Hello and welcome to Random Act of Squirrel. Today is act number 10, Grace, Dumb Luck, and Little Miracles Everywhere. The last couple days, I don't know, I just feel like my head's kind of not been where it was on Act 9, where I was all excited because I just got done watching One Piece and felt like I had something to add that was relatively new. And honestly, the last couple days, I just kind of feel like I've been kind of kicked in the head a lot. You get up and you get kicked in again. So I was going to film last night, and I decided no, I'm not going to. I think how you present yourself and this stuff lasts forever is important. And frankly, I was kind of being a sourpuss, and I had my head up my butt. And I don't think it was going to be a video I was proud of. I had a fun and witty title, but it's one of those angry, witty ones that people can laugh at. And I don't want to be that person. I think that's a huge part of where I'm at right now is no matter how life treats you, you can always choose how you can react to it. There's a book called, I think it's The Meaning of, by Viktor Frankl. It's super famous, and one of these days I'm going to talk on it. It's really heavy. Being in a Nazi concentration camp will do that. Our Jewish concentration camp will do that for you. But it's man's search for meaning is what it's called. And the big thing he talks about is just how you view your world will determine how you see things. And that often is the separation between how much you succeed or fail in the hardest of situations. And so I decided, you know what? I'm going to pivot. And even if I don't feel 100% happy, I can maybe talk about something that I do still believe, even in the dark clouds, even when I feel down. And that's why I brought it up. Grace, dumb luck, and little miracles everywhere. When my head's right, I notice them all the time. When my head's wrong, I'm not a happy person to be around. So, looking around, grace was defined as an undeserved favor. Luck is an action or event brought on more by chance than consequence. So it's something you don't have responsibility with. It just kind of happened. And miracle, a surprising and welcome event that occurs outside logical understanding. Why bring this up? I've noticed that there's a whole, and I don't know if everyone else works this way, but when I'm open to the world and I'm happy and trying to at least be joyful about it, it blows my mind how much the world will open up on stuff. And I'll have all these different experiences. And I don't know if it's just because it's me. I don't know if it's because maybe I'm open to them. I see them. I don't know. But the more I open up to them, the more these things happen. The more things like grace occurs where doors open that shouldn't, or coupons that shouldn't work kind of get honored, or I don't know, just little things. And then the dumb luck kicks in a lot of times too. Thinking the best way to describe it, dumb luck for me isn't always positive or negative, just things that they seem to happen to me a lot, and maybe it's because I just notice it. So about, let's see here, this would probably make it, it's a number of years ago, probably 5, 6, 7 years ago. I bumped into somebody that I knew right after I got out of high school. And I grew up in central Minnesota. Central Minnesota is filled with a bunch of Europeans, so there's not many 6'4", 300 to 400 pound black men who are blind in small towns. And I got to be a good friend with him in that summer before I went to college. They were doing a book sale, a library book sale. And so before I did some errands in the nearby town that I lived in, I went to the book sale. And I was walking through the book sale, and as I'm walking through, I hear this very familiar voice. And this familiar voice, I'm like, I know that voice. And I look over, and it's the same guy that I met, this very jovial, very large, very friendly, blind black man in the middle of this country town in central Minnesota, full of, I don't know, it is what it is. He sticks out like a sore thumb. He's the most pleasant sore thumb you could ever find. And he immediately recognizes my voice. And he's like, and he's just like, it's so nice to see you. And we're talking and stuff. And I have to go do a couple errands before I go to work. And suddenly he's like, well, let's talk and do things. And as I'm talking, he's walking along with me, and he's going, well, where are we going next? I'm like, in the back of my brain, I'm thinking, we weren't going anywhere. I was going to the book sale because now they're going to the bag version, which means you get a whole bunch of books you don't need for a very cheap price per bag. And he's like, well, let me come along. So as I'm now walking through this bookstore, or through this book sale, attached to the library, I have a blind man attached to my arm, and he's asking me, what's on this table? And what's on this table? And what's on this table? And which book are you grabbing right now? And eventually we get to the cooking table, and it's full of cookbooks. And none of them are Braille. He can't read any of them. And he's like, so what cookbooks are on the table? And he's describing all these cookbooks. And I'm thinking this is absolutely surreal. And I'm wondering, who else has experiences like this? Who has these dumb luck moments that you just have these moments that turn into great stories later? Eventually I get to the bookstore, and talking to him and looking for books. And obviously since he's blind, he can't drive home. I'm like, so Bear, how are you going to get home? He's like, well, you can bring me home. And so I got to bring the very large Bear to his place where he still lived, and I got to catch up with him. This is dumb luck. It makes a great story. It kind of filled my life with a moment of joy, gives me something pleasant to look back at. It doesn't necessarily always have to be good or bad, but it makes that moment where you can make your life more interesting. And that leads to the last part. And that's, as I wrote on here, little miracles everywhere. There's probably no doctrine for it. It's purely my belief. I believe God uses big miracles because we're too busy to listen. And big events happen in our life because we are so fixated on all of those things that we can't see the little things that he's lining up. So essentially big miracles are like him either pulling us out of the fire or yelling at us. That's my opinion. I don't think it's 100% true, and there's probably better theology from someone else, but again, it works in my life. And I started noticing little things, like I've had so many times when I just simply would call out and be like, I really need someone to talk to me. And I'll go somewhere, and that's the one person who probably was who I needed to talk to. Or just different groups you run into, or probably one of the coolest little miracles I ever bumped into, which is also like dumb luck, is I have a lot of book sale stories, I didn't realize this, but I was at a church rummage sale, book sale, and I found 2 books on, brain fart out his name, I hate it when I do this, bonus points for anybody who actually puts this down in comments. He was a guy in the fifth. I don't want to leave this video here. He was a big polka guy. He had the accent, but he's like a 70s guy, and I'll probably talk about him because I absolutely love him. But he's just relatively like famous to an era, and nobody else really kind of knows who he is. But bonus points if you've actually followed and know what I'm talking about. He's known for champagne music and polkas. And probably at the end I'll tell you his name. Not because I'm mysterious, but literally it's blanking. I found these 2 books there, and they sat on my shelves for 2-3 years until when I opened them up, and at that point in my life, it's somewhere between dumb luck and finding them and little miracles of finding them at that moment too. I was looking for something to read just to kind of, as like a palate cleanser for work and school and all that kind of stuff. And that was the right book at the moment, hearing about this guy who was first generation American, eventually become one of the first syndicated people on television. And to hear his hardships, to hear how he fought through it, the loyalty of his friends, all the things that he did, it was pretty amazing for me to just read that. I think the thing about little miracles, though, is they often go unseen. It's the phone call you didn't expect when you're about to fall. It's the friend that comes by with maybe extra vegetables when you were maybe a little tight on money. It's that little nudge in the back of your head of go call that person, and you find out you're their miracle because they were having the hard time and they needed to talk to somebody. It's the text from your mom or the phone call from your mom when you don't want to talk to anybody, but inside you know you need to, and they call you anyways. And for some reason, when you were to turn it off, 9 times out of 10, you pick it up anyways, and you discover that's exactly what you needed. Whenever I don't notice the little miracles, I know that something's not right in my life, and I know I have to correct my head. And so, partially out of choice and partially out of respecting a lot of my family, I try to keep some of my family stuff vague. There's just family stuff I'm going through, and I'm realizing that it's probably not as complicated as I make it. But it amazed me how in the last 24 hours, all the little miracles that have kind of come into place so I can help sort out where I need to be so I can be where I need to be with my family. And then hopefully you'll get residual on it here. I'll be in a happier place, and maybe those things that have been really hard this year can start getting resolved. So this one's a little bit heavy. I apologize for those who are looking for fun. This is not the One Piece fun episode, but that's why it's Random Act of Squirrel. Some days are going to be a little bit heavier. Just kind of like, not every day can be sunshine. So if you like what you heard, put down a comment. If you like the video, click it, or click like on there, give me a thumbs up. And if you continue to like what you're seeing here and have liked the last couple of videos, like where this is going, definitely subscribe. I added a couple subscribers, and that is about as cool as actually seeing the number of views, because subscribers means more people are going to see it, and maybe you can start building an audience. And I still really haven't heard any comments from it, so that would be really awesome to hear. Otherwise, as the guy that I can't remember his name, I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day. And thank you for watching.